the evil daughter of Jezebel. She assassinated her own family. Athaliah, whose name means afflicted by God, reigned as Queen of Judah between the years 841 and 835 BC. She sat on King David's throne. Her name means afflicted by God. Athaliah was the daughter of Israel's king Ahab and Queen Jezebel, and she reared Jehoram, the eldest son of Judah's king Jehoshaphat. Athaliah was known as the Queen of Israel. Her father had already gotten a prophecy of the death of his wife Jezebel and his sons. Athaliah's reign as queen was sandwiched between several centuries during which Judah and Israel were ruled by wicked kings and queens. Athaliah was a fervent follower of Baal, and as a result, she was every bit as wicked as the monarchs who came before her and after her. Her story can be found in 2 Kings 11 and 2 Chronicles 22-23. Athaliah's husband, Jehoram, was king of Judah until he passed in 841 BC. Unlike his father, Jehoram was a wicked king. Athaliah's son, Ahaziah, ascended to the throne at the age of 22 and established himself just as evil as his father. 2 Kings 8:18 Amplified Bible. He walked in the ways of the kings of Israel just as the house of Ahab had done. For Athaliah, the daughter of Ahab, became his wife. He did evil in the sight of the Lord. Athaliah guided her son in his devilish schemes. 2 Chronicles 22:3 Amplified Bible. He also walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, for his mother was his advisor, and she encouraged him to act wickedly. Ahaziah served as king of Judah for less than 1 year, for he was assassinated along with Israel's ailing king Joram. Their assassin was Jehu, who had originally been a commander in King Ahab's army. 2 Kings 9:5 Amplified Bible. When he arrived, the captains of the army were sitting outside. And he said, "I have a message for you, O captain." Jehu said, "To which one of us?" And he said, "For you, O captain." 2 Kings 9:25. Then Jehu said to Bidkar his officer, "Pick him up and throw him on the field of Naboth the Jezreelite. For I remember when you and I were riding together after his father Ahab, that the Lord uttered this prophecy against him." Jehu was anointed as the new king of Israel by the prophet Elisha, who also commissioned him as an instrument of the Lord to carry out the punishment that God had pronounced against King Ahab and his entire family because of their idolatry. As part of Jehu's goal to put an end to the dynasty established by Ahab, Jezebel and her sons were put to death. It just so happened that her son Ahaziah was visiting Joram when Jehu arrived to carry out the plot to kill Joram. As a result, Ahaziah also lost his life. 2 Chronicles 22:10-20. When Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she proceeded to destroy the whole royal family of the house of Judah. But Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Jehoram, took Joash, son of Ahaziah, and stole him away from among the royal princes who were about to be murdered and put him in his nurse in a bedroom. Because Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Jehoram, and the wife of the priest Jehoiada, was Ahaziah's sister, he hid the child from Athaliah so she could not kill him. He remained hidden with them at the temple of God for 6 years while Athaliah ruled the land. Athaliah, who had already lost her husband and then her son, took the kingdom for herself by executing her own grandchildren after she had already lost her husband and son. Satan was the hidden force behind this savage massacre of the royal family, and he was seeking to cut off the messianic line, as he had attempted to do in the past and would strive to do in the future. Jehovah moved Jehoshaphat to hide her nephew Joash because the promise in Genesis 3:15 guaranteed the Lord would preserve the line through which the Lord Jesus would eventually come. Jehoshaphat's husband, Jehoiada, who was a priest, took care of him for the next 6 years while he was hidden away in the temple. When Athaliah learned that her son had been slain, she seized the chance to steal the throne by assassinating Ahaziah's son, therefore wiping out the entire royal dynasty. Athaliah was successful in her coup. 2 Kings 11:2. But Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Joram of Judah and half-sister of Ahaziah, took Joash the son of Ahaziah and abducted him from among the king's sons who were to be killed, and hid him and his nurse in the bedroom. So they hid from Athaliah and was not put to death. 2 Chronicles 24:7. For the son of Athaliah, that wicked woman, had broken into the house of God, and also had used all the holy and dedicated things in the house of the Lord for the Baals. Unbeknownst to Athaliah, a single grandchild escaped the massacre. Jehoshaphat, the baby's aunt and the wife of the high priest Jehoiada, took the infant Joash and hid him and his nurse in a bedroom. Joash was later smuggled out of the castle and taken to the temple, where he remained hidden for 6 years, while Queen Athaliah reigned over the land. 2 Kings 11:1-3. 2 Kings 11:1-3. Now when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal. But Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash the son of Ahaziah and stole him away from among the king's sons that were slain, even him and his nurse, and put them in the bedchamber. And they hid him from Athaliah so that he was not slain. And he was with her in the house of Jehovah 6 years. And Athaliah reigned over the land. Just like her mother, she worshipped the god known as Baal. During the reign of Ahab and Jezebel, at the peak of Baal worship in Israel, God directly confronted paganism through his prophet Elijah. First, God showed that he, not Baal, controlled the rain by sending a drought lasting 3½ years. Baal was the name of God, who was worshipped through Canaan and Phoenicia in old times. During the Judges period, the practice of Baal worship entered Jewish religious life. The practice of Baal worship became widespread in Israel during the reign of Ahab. The practice of Baal worship also affected Judah. Various parts worshipped Baal in different methods, and Baal proved to be a highly universal god. Various locales highlighted one or another of his attributes and designed unique sects of Baalism. Baal is depicted in statues wearing a helmet embellished with a bull's horns, a symbol of strength and fertility. He holds a club or mace in one hand, probably representing thunder, and a spear adorned with leaves in the other, possibly representing both lightning and vegetation. In Aramean sculptures, Baal is depicted riding a bull. Athaliah, during her reign as Queen of Judah, utilized her position to further establish the worship of Baal across the kingdom. She did this by placing priests and establishing altars for her idol within the temple of the Lord. In this way, Athaliah followed the footsteps of her mother Jezebel. After Athaliah had reigned for 6 years, the high priest Jehoiada placed guards around the temple and publicly crowned the young Joash as the fitting king. As the new king was anointed, the people clapped their hands and shouted, "Long live the king!" 2 Kings 11:12. Then Jehoiada brought out the king's son and put the crown on him and gave him the testimony, a copy of the Mosaic law. And they made him king and anointed him, and they clapped their hands and said, "Long live the king." 2 Chronicles 23:12-13. When Athaliah heard the noise of the people running and cheering the king, she went to them at the temple of the Lord. She looked, and there was the king standing by his pillar at the entrance. The officers and the trumpeters were beside the king, and all the people of the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets, and musicians with their instruments were leading the praise. Then Athaliah tore her robes and shouted, "Treason! Treason!" Queen Athaliah came to the people in the temple to investigate the cheering and shouting, only to find a child rival she thought long dead now wearing the royal crown. But what must have alarmed her even more was the realization that the people were solidly behind him. No one listened to her charge of treason. After all, she was the usurper, not Joash. Jehoiada ordered her to be slain, but not inside the temple. She was taken to the horse gate, where she was slain for her atrocities in Judah. King Joash, who was only 7 years old at the time, dismantled the temple of Baal, broke the altars and idols of Baal, and executed the priest of Baal. This was all done under the command of the faithful high priest. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was calm before Athaliah had been slain, because Athaliah had been put to death. With Athaliah out of the way, reform was swift. Jehoiada and the people covenanted to be the Lord. To demonstrate their commitment, they destroyed the temple of Baal and killed Mattan, the priest of Baal. As a priest, Jehoiada was sensitive concerning the temple and divine worship. One of the first things he did was to set the temple service in order, as he'd been commanded by Moses and David. The Levites and the priests were each given responsibilities that were appropriate for them. The holiness of the temple was no longer to be taken lightly, and the gatekeepers were tasked with preventing ceremonially impure individuals from entering the building. Jehoiada was aware that in order for reform to be successful, it had to start in the temple of the Lord. Joash was brought to the residence of the king. The people of Judah were overjoyed to have another son of David ascending the throne of Judah, and looked forward with great anticipation to the reign of Joash. Some people rise to the position of authority because of their passion for the cause and their feeling of duty. Others want leadership positions for no other reason than to achieve power over others and to enjoy the arrogant feeling that comes with being in a position of superiority. In most situations, figuring out what kind of leader you have won't take you very long at all. In the case of Athaliah, coming to a decision did not take any time at all. As soon as she learned that Jehu had taken the life of her son, King Ahaziah, she arose and destroyed all the royal heirs of the house of Judah, which included all of her grandchildren. She failed to slay Joash, the only child left alive, because a devout young woman named Jehoshaphat concealed him in the temple of God for a period of 6 years, allowing him to escape her homicidal rampage. The fact that God had promised his people that the Messiah would come via the royal line of David made absolutely no difference to Athaliah in the least. This is the picture of a leader so thirsty for power that she would do anything to attain and hold her illegitimate title, including murdering her own kin. Athaliah ruled over Judah for 7 years. In the end, the people violently removed her from power. Queen Athaliah is an extreme example of a leader motivated not by love, but by power, prestige, and position. It never takes long to spot the difference.